we are getting into the top 4 match for the Independence, Missouri Premier Challenge. We're only streaming one of the top 4 matches just due to time constraints at the venue. But this is going to be an exciting match. I'm pretty pleased to be here. So on your bottom screen, you're going to have Ethan Simpson against Ricky Green. Ricky just came in second in the midseason showdown. He's looking to really double down on the points he got. So on the left, you can see Ethan's team, which consists of Gengar, Incineroar, Kyogre, Landorus, Smeargle, and Xerneas. And on the right, you see Ricky's team, which consists of Xerneas, Rayquaza, Incineroar, Fini, and Nihilego. So right away, I'm seeing Ethan's Gengar as a really big threat here. You know, being able to hit the Xerneas and Tapu Fini for super effective damage and kind of clear the way, as well as being able to trap Pokemon in. That Perish Trap, such a strong ability, and so it's going to be an important thing for Ricky to be able to manage, especially like if he wants to maintain weather control or something, like a Mega Rayquaza against a Kyogre. He's definitely going to want to be able to keep that, switch around in order to keep the Delta Stream active to protect his Rayquaza a little bit from Ice Beams and such coming from the Kyogre. And Gengar kind of removes that possibility. Those are locked in, and we're getting into battle. So this is the top 4 match. Winner moves on to the finals. And with the CP curve, you really want to be winning Premier Challenges because the championship points drop off is pretty severe between first and second, and like between first and top 4. So all of the players in the top 4 are really vying for that W. So we do see Ethan leading off with the tried and true, not so lovingly called monkey lead of Smeargle and Xerneas. So called back in 2016 because it's so straightforward that even a monkey could use it. So Smeargle has taken a little bit, no longer has access to Dark Void, so it can't just blindly click Dark Void and put 2 opposing Pokemon to sleep. And also, with Tapu Fini and Tapu Koko preventing sleep, it can, so it lost some of its utility. However, it's still really good. It has access to every move in the game. So as far as support goes, it could have Fake Out, Wide Guard, Follow Me, Spore. Sometimes people run Lovely Kiss in order to be able to put grass types to sleep rather than using Spore. The trade-off is worth it. So we do see Smeargle going for the Follow Me, Xerneas for a turn, and it gets poisoned, which actually kind of goes in Ethan's favor, right? Like, he loses his Smeargle, but he got that Follow Me off, and Smeargle's going down. He's going to get a chance to bring in another threat, rather than leaving a Smeargle on the field that could be KO'd by a second attack from Nihilego, giving it a Beast Boost and leaving Amoonguss in the clear. So that poison, while it's unfortunate when it happens to you, in this case, it's actually not that bad for Ethan. It does give him a chance. He got his Xerneas set up. He lost a Pokemon, but if you're getting a Pokemon KO'd, Smeargle is probably the least of your worries. It's done its job. And so now Incineroar is able to come in here, threaten Fake Out pressure to prevent that Amoonguss from hitting Xerneas with a Clear Smog or with a Spore. Target the Nihilego, just to keep Xerneas healthier for a while. It's hard to say which one is the better option to pick. However, Ricky just doesn't want to play these Fake Out games, goes ahead and protects his Amoonguss and his Nihilego, so no worries about which one is getting attacked, trying to have to pick just that Fake Out turn. And so now we're back to where we were, just without the threat of Fake Out. So now it's just a matter of, who's going to attack first. So we do see Incineroar targeted Amoonguss with that Flare Blitz, which would be super effective, deal a lot of damage, and potentially after a Dazzling Gleam pick up the KO, depending on how both of these trainers train their Pokemon. Like if Incineroar is a more offensive, attack invested variant, and Amoonguss is more on the physical defensive side, you could be seeing a lot of damage coming out. So we do see Ethan opting to go ahead and switch out his Incineroar, wants to preserve that for later, as Nihilego actually goes for the Clear Smog into the Xerneas slot. So that will clear out Xerneas' boost if it connects. So Xerneas kind of is in a little bit of a tricky situation. It really only gets one chance to attack before losing its Geomancy boost here. And Gengar did switch in, but it was put to sleep on that turn, so it's going to have to take at least one turn of sleep coming up. While it potentially just takes damage from these two targets it has on the field. So Gengar goes ahead and Mega Evolves. So the Pokemon that Ricky has on the field right now are going to stay there, as Dazzling Gleam comes out from Xerneas into the Amoonguss, deals about 30%, so not a ton of damage, but enough, as Amoonguss goes for the Spore into Xerneas. So now Xerneas is going to be asleep as well. So even though Ricky can't switch out here, he does have two sleeping Pokemon that he's facing down, so it's not that bad. Not to mention, Nihilego resists Xerneas, as well as just having very high natural special defense, which is going to protect it from that Xerneas regardless. Ooh. I disconnected for a moment, so I missed a little bit, but we're right back as Gengar wakes up after only a single turn of sleep, and it goes for the Protect right there, as Xerneas gets hit with the Clear Smog, clearing its boost out, which is, unfortunate for Ethan. Obviously, he wants those boosts, especially for Xerneas. Facing down this Nihilego does not want to just get bopped with a... and it really needed that special defense boost in order to put in some work. But Gengar is awake, will have an opportunity to deal some damage to either of these two Pokemon. However, since both Pokemon are defensive, it's going to take a couple of attacks from Gengar to get the job done. As we see Nihilego going for the Rockium Z, likely into the Gengar slot, actually, as Xerneas is sort of a non-issue for Nihilego at this point, especially if it does get the Beast Boost off of this. If Continental Crush is able to KO the Gengar, that puts Nihilego in a really strong position to KO Xerneas at its leisure, essentially. So we do see the KO from as Xerneas takes another sleep turn and gets spored. So not a bad move by Ricky. He likely went ahead and targeted that Xerneas anyways to put it right back to sleep if it did wake up on its first chance that it could. So now this Nihilego is at +1 special attack. It's going to give it the opportunity to deal a ton of damage to either of these Pokemon, hitting them with either a rock move or a poison move respectively, which puts Nihilego in a really strong spot. And it looks like Ethan doesn't want to give away any information about how bulky his team is, potentially what items they're carrying. It goes ahead, not 100% sure if he locked into the forfeit, but I think he realizes that this is a very uphill battle, and he'd rather jump into Game 2. Kind of back to the drawing board, reassess, how do I deal with this Nihilego with Clear Smog? Xerneas isn't going to be able to get the job done. So we're going to see probably a little bit of a switch up of, what Ethan chooses to use as we go into Game 2. And obviously Ricky is feeling pretty good, right? He was able to win that team without revealing his back two Pokemon, or win that game without revealing his back two Pokemon at all. Obviously that lead works very well for him against this Xerneas lead. So you know, he can probably feel comfortable saying, hey, I doubt Ethan is going to bring this Xerneas lead right away because of how well I was able to shut it down. So maybe he's going to switch up in anticipation of what Ethan is going to adjust for. So we're going to have to see. Both players are kind of weighing, you know, what worked, what didn't work, and have to kind of get in their opponent's head just a little bit about, all right, happened, how is my opponent going to react, and how am I going to stay one step ahead of them this time. And so Ricky has already locked in. Ethan taking a little bit more time, you know, a little bit, because last game did not go very well, you know, so he's got to kind of use a different strategy in order to make this match happen and try and force a game 3. Ricky obviously just trying to close it out now. He's like, hey, I won one pretty handily, you know, I know I've got all the tools I need. I know what I need to do in order to beat this team. Like, let's go. I'm ready to go. In particular, that Continental Crush KO on Gengar was just big, knowing that you can freely pick that off, you know, at your leisure, essentially. You know, removing one of the big threats to some of the Pokemon that Ricky likely had in the back, you know, if he brought his Xerneas. Having a good way to remove Gengar to clear the way for Xerneas to set up and sweep is naturally pretty beneficial. Like Ricky kind of knows how he wants to play this match, and he kind of has a clear path to victory. So now it's a matter of, do we see if he can pilot it, or if Ethan is able to adapt and you know, bring this back, force a game 3. Ricky, feeling like Amoonguss Nihilego just offers him the most options in general, goes ahead and sticks with that as Ethan brings out the Smeargle and Gengar lead rather than Smeargle Xerneas. So Gengar, again, both of these Pokemon have pretty strong special defense, so Gengar is going to struggle a little bit breaking through them, but we'll see if Ethan has what, you know, has it's in order to make it happen. Some Gengars have been running Substitute, some run Disable, potentially Taunt, all of which could be beneficial depending on what Ethan's game plan here is for his Gengar. He could even just be going for like a Perish Trap. The rest of his team isn't necessarily set up for that, but it is something he does have potential to go for. So we do see involving no switches, so these two Pokemon are trapped in due to Shadow Tag, as Gengar goes for a Protect. Goes for a Sludge Bomb into Smeargle. That is going to bring it down to 3 HP again and put it down, you know, go ahead and poison it. However, Smeargle does get a Spore off onto the Nihilego, which going to be very beneficial. Nihilego's guaranteed to sleep for at least this upcoming turn, which could give Ethan some time to position himself to get rid of one or both of the Pokemon that he's facing down right now. See Incineroar coming out here. Intimidate down on both of these Pokemon. However, they are both special attackers in general, so the Intimidate's not really the threat here. The thing that Incineroar has going for it is the fact that it can hit that Amoonguss with a Flare Blitz for a lot of damage, and that's definitely something that Ethan wants to have, like, in his back pocket, so to speak, that he can just Flare Blitz Amoonguss, get it off the field, probably in 2 hits. I wouldn't bet on, you know, being able to do it in 1, or also, you know, being able to double into this Nihilego. Its physical defense is low, so it could go for a knockoff or even a Flare Blitz into the Nihilego slot and just deal a ton of damage. So we do see the Flare Blitz also going into Amoonguss's Protect. Sort of a dead turn. Nihilego takes no damage and burns 1 turn of sleep, so it does have the potential to wake up here. As far as Ethan's concerned, you know, he wants Nihilego to stay asleep as long as it can to give him the best chance of finding a way out of this position. So Nihilego does take another turn of sleep. It doesn't get the 1-turn wake up, which definitely goes in Ethan's favor. As Flare Blitz connects with Amoonguss and does pick up the KO. So the important thing here is that Nihilego can KO either one of these two Pokemon. A Continental Crush into either one is going to, we saw that it picked up the KO on Gengar earlier. Incineroar has more bulk, but it will, it would be super effective. So not likely that Incineroar survives that either. Potentially if there's a on it, but I don't know those calcs. I'm not going to commit to anything. We're just going to stick with Nihilego is a supremely threatening Pokemon in this matchup, and it's not something Ethan really wants to have to face down. So it's on its second turn of sleep, second turn that it could potentially wake up. We do see Xerneas Protect. So if Ethan tries to capitalize on this by attacking into the Nihilego, but rather than attacking the Nihilego, he goes for the Perish Song. So kind of setting up, asking himself, how can I take care of this Pokemon, slowly, so to speak. That Perish Song is going to be huge as far as, if Ricky isn't able to KO his Pokemon fast enough, his Pokemon are just going to get knocked out just by nature of causing them to expire. So Ethan U-turns out that removes the Perish Song from Incineroar, leaving just Gengar as the Pokemon that would get knocked out by the Perish counter. Brings in his own Xerneas. Now, of course, Xerneas is going to be threatened from this Nihilego, but it could be a very bulky variant that's not going to worry Bomb. The main issue is it doesn't want to take a turn setting up and then have those boosts removed by... It doesn't want to take a turn setting up and then have those boosts removed by Clear Smog. So we do see Nihilego going for this Rocky MZ Continental Crush. It's going into a Protect either way on Ethan's side of the field, so it will deal reduced damage. But with this double Protect, it is sort of a free chance for Xerneas to set up, which could potentially be huge. Xerneas is on a timer. It's going to get knocked out in 2 turns unless Gengar gets KO'd. He's got to weigh that, but kind of lost my train of thought, so sorry about that. So Xerneas is set up. It is on a timer. It's only got 2 turns left before it gets KO'd. But if he can do enough damage in those 2 turns in order to set himself up for whichever 4th Pokemon Ricky has, then it's alright. Taking that turn to set it up while both Pokemon were protecting, perfectly acceptable. So Gengar will resist the attack from Xerneas. Comes in here. Ethan wanting to preserve his own Xerneas from getting KO'd by a Moonblast. As Moonblast from Xerneas comes out into the... Incineroar gets KO'd. So that's going to leave just... and Gengar versus the 3 Pokemon that Ricky has. Ethan does have the option of simply double protecting in order to both of the opposing Pokemon get KO'd. Song, but he will lose his Gengar on this turn as well. So it sort of comes down to, will an unboosted Xerneas be able to deal with the opposing whatever fourth Pokemon Ricky has. Just leaves his Xerneas to get. He just loses it anyways, and then when Gengar goes down, he just loses the game. So it's sort of a risk management. I don't think Xerneas is capable of surviving 2 attacks from a boosted Xerneas and a from Nihilego, but it almost feels like he's going to have to set up in order to give himself an out here. So we do see Gengar going for the Protect, as Xerneas also goes for the Protect. So no damage is going to be dealt this turn, and Ricky's Xerneas Ethan's Gengar, and Ricky's Nihilego are all 3 going to faint this turn. And so now it's up to what Ricky has in the back. And also what item he is. Like, I imagine he's got Rayquaza coming in. If that's the case, you know, then or if he's not Sash or Assault Vest, which are probably 2 of the most common items, you know, Ethan's got a decent chance. If it is one of those 2 items, Rayquaza has a chance to just attack twice. So now this really just comes down to, is this a Focus Sash? Is this an Assault Vest? Can it survive an unboosted Moonblast? That's kind of where we're at right now, and we're just going to see how this plays out. There's V1s, like, type-wise, you would expect Xerneas to, you know, be free and clear here, but that's not always the case. So depending, like, how bulky Ethan's Xerneas is, eventually take 2 Dragon Ascents. Could it take a Dragon Ascent and a Extreme Speed? You know, it all comes down to, you know, what items are these Pokemon carrying? How are they going to deal with it? So Ricky goes for the Swords Dance on his Rayquaza. Takes a Moonblast for his trouble, gets brought down to 1 HP with the Focus Sash. So if the Xerneas is bulky enough to survive a +2, Ethan can take this game, but that would require a ton of bulk. I'm honestly just not even sure it's possible. As we do see this Dragon Ascent, Rayquaza flies up, comes crashing down, and picks up the KO on Xerneas. So that is going to send Ricky Green to the finals of this Premier Challenge. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to be right back with the finals of this tournament.